Okay, a few weeks ago, Harvey.ai raised $80 million from a bunch of blue chip investors, among which was OpenAI, who are the creators of ChatGPT. Allen & Overy, one of the largest and most prestigious law firms in the world, have announced that they're using Harvey.ai. You've got PwC, one of the big accounting four, who said that they're going to use Harvey.ai in their business. You've got Philips, one of the largest electronics manufacturers in the whole world, claiming to have negotiated a contract 100% using artificial intelligence, using Harvey.ai. Now, if you're like me and you've tried to sell software to big enterprise companies like PwC or Philips, you will know that number one, it's really hard to get them to buy anything, and number two, that process can take years. But Harvey.ai is a really small company comparatively, right? Until recently, there were 30 people, and it's founded by two really young guys who really only graduated from university a couple of years ago. To me, the kinds of customers that they've got using them today is really impressive. So in today's video, I want to share exactly what Harvey.ai does, and one of the kind of surprising ways that I learned its customers are using Harvey.ai today. So first, let's start with a bit of background on the founders themselves, how they met and how they kind of came to start Harvey. So Harvey was founded in August 2022 by Gabe Pereira and Winston Weinberg. Gabe studied computer science at the University of Southern California. Then he went to do a PhD in computer science at Oxford, but he dropped out and subsequently ended up working at DeepMind, which is Google's kind of AI unit, and Meta, specifically as a research scientist on large language models. Winston studied law at USC Gold and then spent a year or so at a litigation firm. Winston and Gabe were roommates, or so the founding story goes. Winston showed Gabe the way that his firm started to use large language models like ChatGPT in their work, and then they figured that they could do something better and decided to found Harvey.ai. So that's kind of the founding myth, the origin story, however you want to look at it, of Harvey. Let's now talk about the product itself. So the simplest explanation I can think of what Harvey.ai has done is that they've taken a general foundational model developed by OpenAI for ChatGPT. They've fine-tuned it in order to make its outputs and its responses more tailored to lawyers. And then they've built a bunch of extra lawyer-specific workflows around that. And I'll unpack all of that in a second. So for example, lawyers can ask Harvey questions to help them with their legal research. They could ask, what is the difference between a full-time employee and a contractor in the state of Virginia? Harvey would give them a really kind of tailored answer, and it would also provide a bunch of citations in case they wanted to cross-reference that information. Or what they could do is they could upload a draft document into Harvey for a commercial lease, and they could ask it to identify any clauses that could potentially violate law in a particular state, let's say California, and then ask it to rewrite the contract so it's no longer in violation of that law. So these kinds of tasks are the kind of thing that a lot of lawyers would spend time doing, right? It makes up a big part of a lawyer's job, is doing these kind of research tasks and looking over contracts and so on. So in theory, you could use ChatGPT for doing some of the same things that Harvey.ai is doing, right? And I'm sure lots of lawyers do use ChatGPT. Something like 90% of lawyers have used ChatGPT for helping them with their jobs. But there are a few key differences. So one of the main things that I think Harvey's done is it's helped to overcome this compliance or regulatory hurdle around data for lawyers using large language models as part of their workflows. And Harvey doesn't use customer data to train their models unless you want it to. Secondly, like I mentioned earlier, whereas ChatGPT is kind of a general foundational model that's useful in terms of being able to understand like general inputs and give general outputs, general responses, the Harvey.ai models have been fine-tuned, and what that means is that it's been trained on a smaller set of specifically legal data, so these kind of gold standard legal precedents, which enables it to better understand the inputs that a lawyer might give them, and then be able to give them much more accurate and detailed answers to their questions. So that process of fine-tuning has basically improved the quality of responses that Harvey.ai could give compared to ChatGPT or kind of more general language, large language model, right? And finally, they've built a bunch of workflow features as well that will make a lawyer's job more easy. and save them a bunch of time as well. So I mentioned citations earlier as an example, where every response will have citations that are really easy to click into and kind of read through. Okay, so earlier on I mentioned that Allen and Overy and PwC are using Harvey.ai as customers, right? And that's true in a way. But from what I understand, one of the main ways that Allen and Overy, for example, is using Harvey.ai today is to help them build legal software that they can sell to their own clients as a kind of white labeled solution. So they recently launched Contract Matrix, and if you go to their website and you look at the kind of description of what it does, it says that it can be used for AI-assisted interrogation and drafting, real-time access to gold standard precedents and policies, risk management and governance. So that's essentially exactly what Harvey says that it's doing for its customers, right? So from what it seems, one of the main ways they're planning to use Harvey is to white label it and sell it to their own clients as well. The PwC press release suggests kind of something very similar, because if you look at the language, they announce it as a strategic partnership, and they also explicitly mention exclusivity, which means that Harvey is not allowed to work with any of PwC's main competitors. So when I read that last bit, the penny kind of really dropped for me. All of these large corporates like Allen Overy and PwC specialize in something called knowledge work, right? So people working with information. And they've realized that AI is going to fundamentally change their business and the unit economics of their business, right? So they really need innovative startups to partner with them to help them kind of adapt to a changing world. And again, if you look at the Allen and Overy's press release in the FT, where the head of markets innovation, Allen Overy, says that the goal of this partnership and the goal of using Harvey is to disrupt the legal market before it disrupts us. So I think this is one of the more surprising ways that I learned about how these big companies are using Harvey and why it's got so much traction. And by the way, if you are getting any use out of this video, or you've learned something new and you want to support me so I can make more videos, just click the subscribe button. It would mean a lot. Also, I wished I'd had an actual live product demo that I could have showed you guys of Harvey, but unfortunately the marketing team didn't get back to me. So if you work at Harvey and you're watching this video, drop me an email. I would love to do an actual product tour of Harvey in the next video, a little bit further down the line. Anyway, thanks for watching. Thank you. Bye.